Today we will start with small things. So there are so many small things which we'll keep covering and proceed to finish up this PHP. If something is left, or even if nothing is left, on Monday we'll take up some interesting questions and try to solve that. Now, so first thing is today we'll start with file read and write. Okay. Uh, Let me share my screen. So file read and write. Now there are many inbuilt functions in PHP using which we can read and write any file. Now suppose that we'll start with a few, like let me start by creating index.php. Now I will also create a text file. So like doc.txt, and this is a text file. Now first method that I am going to describe is $file equal to file underscore get underscore contents, and then I have to specify the name of the file $doc.txt. Now we have already seen this function file underscore get underscore contents in Ajax. Okay, so if you remember, I used it in search.php when I was getting the JSON through this stream, PHP input stream. So file underscore get underscore content. Now function remains the same. Only thing, earlier I was passing a stream, basically a post stream through which it will read the file. Now I am using a txt file. So this will read the file, and if I want to show the content, so I can show the content. So this is one function for reading the file content. Let us see. So you can see that content has been read. This is a text file, was the content which was there in this doc.txt. If I change it, this is another line, and I refresh this, you can see this is also coming. So this is the first method that we are using for this. Okay, now second method. So there is another method for reading the file, which is read file. And here also I can specify doc.txt. Now I will suppose I will add, this is a third line. Okay. So this is next function, read file. So you can say this is a third line, and it is also okay. So this is so one thing is, it is also, I think it is also returning the number of characters that it has read. Anyway, now the third one that I want to cover is $file equal to fopen. This kind of function you have already seen in in C. So fopen, then name of the file doc.txt, and then the mode. So like I want to read and then I have to use fread function. So echo fread. Now fread takes two parameters. One is the file handler, and second one is the size of the file. So for file handler, dollar $file, and for the size, we will use a function file size, and file size of doc.txt. So this is the third method. I can add one more line. Uh, this is the fourth line. Okay. So so for reading a file, there I described three methods: file underscore get underscore contents, read file, and using fopen. So fopen read will be the flag, means the file is open in read only mode, and then I use fread function to read the file, and I'm passing two parameters. First one is the file handler, which is dollar $file, and then the size. And to get the size, we are using the function file size. Okay. Okay. Now we'll move on to, so reading is fine. Now we'll move on to writing the file. Now for writing the file, suppose I am putting some content, text equal to, this is an example of writing in a file. So first method will be file underscore put underscore content. So just like get contents are there, put content is another thing. And I can specify a name for it. So like write dot txt, suppose. And then, or instead of write, I can put data dot txt. And second part will be data. So data is dollar $txt. So file underscore put underscore contents, it will write a file. So first parameter is text, is the name of the file, and second parameter is the content that has to be written in the file. I can also so let us first see this. So no output will be there, but if we go here, a new data.txt has been created and it's written. This is an example of writing in a file. So is it clear? Are you listening, everybody? Anyone?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So so this was the first method of writing inside a file. Now I can use another method of using file equal to fopen, and then I will use a like doc dot, not doc, file one dot txt, comma, I'm using write mode. Okay. And for writing, I will use fwrite, which is a function which will take first will it will take handle. So handle is dollar $file, and then the content, which is dollar $txt. So this will create a new file in write mode, and whatever text I want to write, it will write. Now there is one thing. If I am opening a file, I should ideally close the file also. So this will write in this file, file1.txt. So let us run this. So now there is a new file created, file1.txt. And here also it is written, this is an example of writing in a file. Okay. Now, suppose I change the content. This is second run of this example. So this is the second run. I'm not changing the name of the file, and the mode is also write mode. So now if I go here and come back to file1.txt, so you can see that previous content has been overwritten. So I mean to say that if you use the same file name with write mode, so it will overwrite the file. So main thing is, if file is there, it will create. If file is there, it will overwrite. If file is not there, it will create a file. Now, one more thing we can try is append. Now in append, if I see instead of this, this is append. Just run. So now you can see that this is append example has been added to the file. Okay. So if I open the file in append mode, A, then instead of overwriting the content, it will add content. So these are the functions that can be used to read a file or write a file. Now these functions are good for maybe text file, but then for a specific files we will use, like for XML we will use a specific uh, classes that will be used for reading from an XML file. So because suppose I get a content in a text manner, so parsing will be difficult. So that's why we will be using a special classes and function for this XML file. So is this clear? I think one query was there. Acha, I think I have cleared his query already. Okay. So this was file read and write operation. Now, next we will move on to classes in PHP. So you can see was nothing in file read and write. For reading, I have multiple functions: file underscore get underscore content, or read file, or using fopen in the read mode. Now for writing, I have file underscore put underscore content, or I also have the fopen in two modes. One was the write mode, where it was overwriting, and I have append mode, where we can append the content. Okay, so this is done. Now we can move on to our next thing was class. Now in PHP, I had said that we usually use procedural programming. So most of the time we'll directly use functions, either user defined or inbuilt functions, and try to solve the problem. But then there is a object-oriented approach also, where we can create classes, and from classes um, we can, using class functions, we can perform any task. Now, uh, to create a class, we have class, and suppose I write shape. So our class is shape, and then here. Now, for creating here also, all the modifiers are there, public, private. So let me create $private and private $name. Okay. So what is the name of the shape? Like shape may be a circle, maybe a rectangle, uh, any shape. So this is private name. Now for constructor, in I'm using as of now only one. If you want, you can add anything else. Now for constructor, in this we use public function and underscore construct. So that is the name of the constructor. Now, in contrast with other like C, Java, I think the name of the function should be same as the class name for constructor. Now here we use underscore two times underscore. So, and then if I can directly do it, or I can pass some parameters. So like for name, I want to pass $n. Now to see to refer to the its own variable. So if I write suppose dollar name, so it will create a new variable. If I write $name equal to $n, so what will happen is it will create a new variable. It won't save in this $name, which is the data member of this class save. So to refer to the same variable, we use this operator. So $this name equal to $n. So this is how we create a constructor. Now next is I can create a function to display some information. So like show info. Then sorry, public function show info, and then here I can show echo my name is plus sorry dot $this. So this is a class shape which has one data member, private data member $name, and then this is a constructor. To use the constructor, we use underscore constructor. Then we can pass a parameter or we do not. It's up to us. And then to refer its own variable, we use this operator $this. So whatever value we are getting from the constructor, we are assigning it to the uh, class data member. And finally, I have a public function to show the name. Okay. Now, if I want to use this, so if I want to use this class, I will create an object. It's the same way. So class is a like a blueprint, and object is a specific version. So $object equal to new shape, and then it takes a parameter $n, means name. So I will say like suppose circle. So $object equal to new shape circle, and then I can call $name, and this arrow operator is used for calling an object function or member. So show info. Now this operator we have already seen when we were going through this search, not search, JSON.php. So JSON.php, we already see that for accessing any member of an object, like here it was a JSON object. So accessing any member of the object, we use this operator. So here also same way, if this is a class and this is a object of this class. So I will use this operator to access any member function or data member if it is a public data member. Now let us run this. So my name is Circle. If I change this, I can add anything. So, okay. So this is how um, um, I can use a class and object. Now let us move on to inheritance. So for inheritance, we use the extend operator. So class rectangle extends shape. So oops. So we can extend like this, and then what we can do is we can add. Suppose I want to override any function. So public function and same so function I want to override. So I can again write this function, and inside this I can write echo. This is a overridden function. But my name is, now remember this is a private class, so you cannot use that dollar name. So that's why I will just remain till here. Shape is a you can see that this data member dollar name in the shape is a private member. So that's why I cannot use name here. So let us first this override function, see how does it work. Unexpected in line number 20. Okay. Now my name is Circle. Why? Because still it is new shape. Now suppose I put a new rectangle. Oops. I have used the L in the rectangle. So rectangle, and name I will pass anything. Not applicable. Now if I run this, it will say that this is a overridden function. So basically this function has been overridden uh, from the inherited function. Now let me try protected. So since it is a protected, so it will be inherited in the uh, child class. So but my name is, so instead of, let it be NA itself. So NA itself I can put, and let us run this. So this is the overridden function, but my name is NA. So in this way, you can see that I used private protected and public all methods here. And I also demonstrated how you can extend a function. Now, last but not the least is function overloading. Okay. Now, function overloading, if you remember other languages like C++ or Java, they say that function overloading means the function name should be same, but number of parameters should change. Okay. So in that way, we will say that the function is overloaded. So function remains the same, number of parameters changes, and the function the working changes. But in PHP, there is nothing like that. So just an example, if I again write this function, and suppose I add a new parameter also $n comma $b something. Now still it gives error. Okay. So it gives error that, I mean, I cannot redeclare. You can see this error, cannot redeclare. So basically, PHP doesn't work uh, overloading in that way. So how does overloading works in PHP? So PHP has some magic methods. They call it magic methods. So we'll see one magic method, public function underscore underscore call. Okay. Now this method has two variables. One is name and another one is uh, arguments. Now name will be the name of the function which we want to override. Okay. So suppose I want to create a um, area function. Now, so I can put that name as area. So I will check if $name equal to area. So it means that if there are multiple overloaded function with the name area, then I am just checking that whether this call, this magic method call, whether the name of the function is area or not. So if name is area, then I will check the arguments, because overloading is dependent on argument. So if our number of argument change, so it means function is overloaded. So the function name is area, and I have to change the number of arguments. So what I can do is I can use a switch statement on count of arguments. So I want to check how many arguments is it passing. So the first case I will take like one argument is there. Okay. So in one argument, basically I am saying that in the argument one, I will calculate the area of a circle. So in that case, I will say echo the area is but I want a radius. So radius, where will I get from? Arguments, because in the argument it will be passed. So this is case one, and I will break. Now case two. So case two means function is same, but number of arguments has increased from 1 to 2, because I have put the case on count number of arguments. So case 2 means suppose it is a rectangle. So for rectangle, I will say echo the area is dot. So there are two arguments. So what will be the area? It will be argument 1 into argument 2. So I will use argument 1 restricts argument 2. And since arguments is an array, so I am using 0 and 1. And again, I can click on break. Okay, I will repeat this. So before I repeat, what I will do is I will remove this string. Just let me create an object. Object new save. Now, so let me see how the overloading is implemented. So for overloading, this function is called underscore call. And in overloading, there are two things. One is the name of the function, which is overloaded, and then the number of then the arguments. Okay. So I'm just saying that if name of the overloaded function is area, then I will check the arguments, that how many arguments are there. So I have put a case on switch. I have put a switch statement on count of arguments. So if count is 1, it means I am using a circle. If count is 2, then I am using a rectangle. Okay. So let me first show you for circle. So name circle. Now dollar object area, because I want to overload area. So I have put the name of the function as area, and I will simply say suppose 3. So this is my argument, and once I call this function, it will go here underscore call and check the name. What is the name? Area. So yeah, this name is matching. Next, switch count dollar arguments means how many arguments have been sent. So only one argument is sent. Okay, so case 1 is matching. So then what I have to print? The area is 2 pi r. So r is basically the argument that has been sent. And since only one argument has been sent, so it will be at 0th location. Done. Now, similarly, suppose dollar object 1 equal to new shape rectangle. So in that case, dollar object 1, and I will call the area with two parameters. So suppose 3 comma 6. I want to create the I want to calculate area, so I am passing two parameters. Now once this is called, it will go to this magic method, then check the name of the function. Name of the function is area. Yeah, I have passed area. Now next it will go inside and check what is the count of arguments. So what is the count of arguments? 2, because I am sending 2 arguments. So it will go to case 2 and check, okay, the area is what? Argument 1 into argument 2. So to specify the argument, I am using 0 and 1 index. I can do, or I can do this dollar pi equal to 3.14 into dollar pi into arguments. Then I'll write here dollar area. Now is it fine, Mayur? Okay. So in this way, for circle, case one will match and it will calculate the area like this. For rectangle, case two will match and it will calculate the area like this. Let us see if it works, or otherwise we'll see what is the error. So you can see for the first one, the area is 18.84 and the second one, the area is 18. Let me put a line break, or let me call object then of this dollar object one, in between a line break. So echo. Now in this case, my name is circle, the area is this. My name is rectangle, the area is this. Okay. So this is how we do overloading in case of PHP. Is it clear? So it is a bit different from our um, usual function overloading, but this works. So like in this case, I have overloaded the function area with number of arguments. Okay, so now we have already observed class, then inheritance, function overriding, function overloading, and then all them public, private, and protected um, access modifiers. Okay, so class is over for now. Now, two things are quite important in PHP. One is class and one is array, because most of the places either array will come or object will come or a combo of array and object will come. Like we have seen from the starting, dollar underscore get, dollar underscore post, dollar underscore session, cookie, all these important things, they all are array. So if you know how to access an array, done, your work is done. Now, once you move to XML JSON, the return type of JSON and XML will be objects. And for accessing an object, you simply use this operator. So only these two things are very important. So arrays and object. And then you can use a print underscore r to see what kind of output do we have. If it is an object, use this operator. If it is a if it is an if it is a array, then use square bracket notation. Okay, so uh, class is done, and then we have already seen file handling. So now we'll move on to our next thing, which is XML reading. So XML read.php. Now, for reading a XML file, first I need XML file. So let me create an XML file. So we'll create an XML file. So suppose imply.xml. So emp So this is imply one, and then I will add an attribute also. So imply ID equal to suppose 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I will repeat this information. Okay, so the XML is ready. So do you find any problem with this XML? Anyone? Yes. So few people have said correctly that the root element is missing. Okay. So all the implies are on the same level, and an XML file must have only one root element. And currently they have three root elements. So let me put it inside a root element. So I can give any name. And second error that we uh, forgot was using a end imply tag. Okay, now it is correct. Just 1 minute. Okay, so I just added one formatter for formatting my imply XML. So this is well and good. Now I have to go to XML read.php. Now for reading a file, dollar $XML file equal to simple. So use one function, inbuilt function is there. Yeah, simple XML load file, and then the name of the file. So the name of the file is imply.xml. Okay. Now, so I have I'm using an existing simple XML API function, which is there for parsing XML. So I used this to load the file imply.xml. Now, before I print this individual values, so I would like to first see how does this look like. Means what is there in $XML file. So I want to see the content of $XML file. So let us first see the content. So I will just the name. Okay, I think it has been created in some other place. Okay, so let us save it again. Run this. Line number 3, there is a error. So let us fix that error. So you remember when we were stuck in geolocation and we were unable to find out what was the error, and later on somehow it hit me. Okay, I did this mistake. Now the good thing with PSP is that whenever there is error, it will tell you what is the exact error. And I'm not criticizing, but like if Java you have an error, it will print the entire stack trace, and you will be like bombarded with the error, big error, and you won't be able to understand what is the actual error. But here, usually PHP gives you the precise error that you have to fix. Okay, now let us rerun this. Now you can see that it has returned us a simple XML element object. Okay, so the entire XML is first a simple XML element object. Okay. Inside that, I have imply first member in that object, which itself is an array because I have 3 implies. So which itself is an array. And now um, at the and which is an array of again simple XML element objects. Okay, so like this entire root is a simple XML element object, and then it has 3 members, so that's why the array. And then after that, in this also is an basically a simple XML element object, and so on. And then attributes are shown like this. So imply attributes is also shown as an array because there may be multiple attributes, but here in our case only one attribute is there whose value is shown here. Okay, so so is this representation understandable? So refer to our XML. So first we have a simple XML element object. So that is correct. Here it is also writing that I have a simple XML element object in which there is a member imply. Yes, we have a member imply, but imply there are multiple implies. So it should be an array. Yes, it is an array. And on the array 0th position, again there is an object which has these values: imply ID, name, and designation. Yes, it's the same. I have a 0th element is again a simple XML element object which has an imply ID, name, and designation. And then the first element is another simple XML element which have again imply ID, name, and designation, and so on. So in this way, I can, the first way is that you visualize how your XML looks like, and then you proceed with printing that. Now you can see it's either a combination of object or an array. So if you want to print an object, you will use the arrow operator. If you want to print an array, you have to use the square bracket notation. Okay. Now let me print one value first. So I want to print cartoonist. Okay. Now for printing cartoonist, let me first go to this simple XML element object. So what is the simple XML object? This is the, because I have printed this. So first dollar XML file. So I have written this. Now next part is after that I have to access imply, because ultimately these are the values for an imply. So for accessing imply data member of a object, what operator should I use? This operator. And I will write imply, EMP. Okay, so this is fine. Now imply, there are basically 3 implies because it's an array. Now cartoonist is on what number? On second number. It is clearly written here 2. So on second number. So I will use the array notation. So 2. Now I have reached here 2. Now 2 again is a simple XML element object. So how do I get an object data member? So if I have to get this designation, what operator should I use? Since it is an object, so I will use again this. And after that, I will simply write the name of the data member, so which is designation. Okay, so now if I print, you can see cartoonist is now showing. So all you have to do is figure out what is an object and accordingly use the operator this, or if it is an array, then use the square bracket notation or big bracket notation. Okay, so this is how we can read a file. Now, next question is how can we read an attribute? So because attribute, this name was clear because I can directly write this name EMP and it will give me an array. I can directly write designation and it will give me the value. But for attribute, it's written at the rate. So how do I get the attribute? Now for attribute, XML file, imply, and suppose I want to get first implies attribute. Mayank Misra ji, mute karo. So I want to get the first imply ID. So I will use imply 0. So imply 0. And then for attribute, I will directly use the attribute here in the array notation itself. So it will be like associative array notation. If I write this, sorry, it's imply ID. So you can see that 1, 2, 3, 4 has been printed. So now if I have an XML element, so first step is that I will convert it to an object using this function simple XML underscore load file. And then first I will try to visualize this. And once I have visualized this, like this is the visualization, how does this look like? After that, for printing any individual number, all I have to do is use a combo of array and object. Now this is for printing individual value. But what about if I want to print all the values? Okay, so like I want to print all the names. So then you can use for each. Okay, so suppose I want, so let me show you. So for each $XML file adds $imply, because ultimately this $XML element object has the first data member imply, which is an array. So let us, we should not go ahead of ourselves. Let us print this $imply and see if it gives us something. I'll just hide this. If it doesn't give us anything, then we'll proceed to the next method. Okay, so this is giving me the first element, then the second element, and the third element. If I want to suppose put echo br, then it will be more clear. So echo br. In fact, I will give 2 brs to be more precise. now you can see, so it is giving me all the object one by one, all the object one by one. Okay. Now, if I only want to print the name from this object, so all I have to do is write uh, echo dollar imply and then the arrow operator. Why arrow operator? Because it's an object. It's not an array, it's an object. And then I want to print a name, so I will write the data member name. Now you can see it will print all the names. So Anu, Asis, Asutos. So in that way, since the first part was an array, so I used for each, and after that it's an object, so I used this. So depending on how your XML is, you have to use combination of for loop and this uh, object notation, object data member access notation. Is it fine? Did you get this? Any question on this? Okay, good. So in this way, I can read XML file. All I have to do is just one function, simple XML load file. After that, it's an object or array. So how do I access an object and array? It's up to you. You already know. So only one function you need to remember. That's a simple XML load file. Now, next part is I want to write a XML file. So XML write dot PHP. Now, uh, of course, I can use this usual method, file underscore get underscore, sorry, put underscore contents. And then whatever content in form of XML I want to write, I will paste it in the XML in that file. But we'll learn about a better method using simple XML element. Now, to show you the example, what I want to do is, we already have some data in our database. Okay, so what I want to do is, I will get the data from the table and write it into an XML file. So in that way, you will also understand that why XML is being used. So why it is being used? So basically for transferring the data from one database or one server to another server. So on one server, I will just copy all the data from the table to the file XML file and then send that XML file to other end where he can read the values using this XML read.php and insert it into his own table. Okay, so reading part was done. Now all is left is that how I can write to XML by reading from the database table. Okay, so how can I write? So first thing is I will have to use a connection to establish connection to my database. So MySQL I underscore connect and then localhost, comma, root, and then test. Then I will write the query. So query is select asterisk from user. So I'm getting all the data from the user table, and then I will execute it. So dollar result equal to MySQL I underscore query, and then first is connection, and second one is the query parameter. So it will return with the result, which I will go through a while loop for showing one by one. So dollar row equal to MySQL I underscore fetch underscore array, and then dollar result. Okay. Now this row will have all my data. So I need to write it inside a XML file. Now for writing a file, first I will have to declare a XML element. So $XML root, it's like initialization. So root equal to simple XML element class. So simple XML element class. So I'm putting the name of the root as root itself. So root element is root only, or I can change it to anything. Like I can change it to like CDAC. That's all that I need. Basically, I need a root element. Now, uh, so suppose that one row is one imply. Okay. So one row is one imply. So inside root, basically, I have to add one imply child, isn't it? So inside the root, I have to add one imply child, then second imply child, then the third imply child. So each row is basically a child. So I will start by adding $imply equal to $XML root. Now for adding a child, there is a function add child. Add child. Now add child, it takes two parameters. So one is the name of the child and second one is the value of the child. So like here, name of the child is designation and value is PTO. But then there are some elements which are complex and they do not have a value. So in that case, we can leave the value. So like imply is a complex element, so it doesn't have a value, it has only a name. So let me write it in capital. So this is, I added a child imply and returned it into $imply. So now I have got my first imply tag. Now inside first imply tag, I have to add information. So another tag I have to add. So what tag I have to add? So first I have to add the name. Why name? Let me go back to PHP MyAdmin. So because my table, it has three fields, username, email, and organization. So these fields will be now become a tag. Okay. So I will use this username equal to, and I will use the value from the database. So the value from the database is row 0. Now, instead of using, so basically I have to add a child name username. So how do I add a child username? So I use add child, and then it takes two parameters. So first parameter is the name of the tag, which I am keeping $username, and second is the value, which is coming from the database. Is it clear? So inside imply, I am adding a child name username and value row 0. Why row 0? Because 0th element is username, first element is email, second element is organization. And why username? Because that is the name of the column. Okay. Now next child I have to add. So ultimately there will be three children. So username, email, which will be row 1, and this will be row 3, 2, organization. Okay. Now let me repeat. So for creating an XML file, first I am declaring my root element. So once I declare a root element, uh, let me show you test.xml. So once I declared a root element here, it is only creating a blank, like root. What is the name of the root element? CDAC. So it is just creating a blank root. Done. So this is my XML after the first line. After that, I'm using $row equal to fetch result in form of an array, and it will iterate. So in one go, it will give me row number one. So row number one means this row, Abhishek, Phillips, and Phillips. Now all these three information, it has to be added as a XML tag. Like here I have added name designation. So here instead of name designation, it is username, email, and organization. So I have to add this. So for adding another level, I am using this $imply equal to XML root add child. So inside this root element, I am adding a child with the name imply. So now what will happen? So in the first run, one imply child has been added. So imply child added. So this was my first line. So I added a child imply. Now inside this imply, because I am using imply and then add child. So inside that imply, I am adding a new tag. What is the name of the tag? Username. And what is the value? Row 0. So what is the, so same here I will show you. So I have to add a new tag. So what is the tag name? Username. So let us write a username and end tag slash username. Now, what is the value? What is the value of the tag? It is row 0. And what is there on row 0? Abhishek, this is the 0th row. This is the first row and second row, third row, fourth row. So 0th element is on the column, on this column, 0th column and 0th row. What is Abhishek? So in the test, it will go like Abhishek. Now I went to next child. Uh, I am getting a call and it's important. I will just pause for a while. Okay. So now next is add child email. So what is the name of the tag? It is email. So it will add email and in the tag email. And what is the value? It is row and index 1. It means for this row, the column 1. So it will be Abhishek at phillips.co.in. Oops. Now next it will go to this line and add a new tag organization here. And then what will be the value? Row and column number 2. So row 1 and column number 2 has the value Phillips. So Phillips. Okay, so in this way you can see that in the first while loop, first row will be captured and all the children will be created and populated with the value of column 0, 1, 2. Uh, so Himanshu is saying, can we put instead of row 0 username? Yes, we can put. It's the same thing. So I can put email, then I can put organization. You can see here, the name of the function is MySQL underscore fetch underscore array. So array means it returns in both indexed as well as associative array. So earlier I was using um, indexed, now I'm using associative. Okay. And now similarly, once while loop will run for the second time, again it will add an imply and go on. And finally, once all the imply have been added, I have to use $XML root save XML and then the path. So like suppose I want to write the name as user.xml. So this while loop will keep adding next row, next row, next row, and all the and what are the children? Column 1, column 2, column 3, and so on. So XML root save XML and user.xml. Once everything has been added, I am calling this save XML function, which will save this XML inside the file user.xml. Okay, now let us run this. Done. Now I have to go to see if there is a user.xml. Yes, there is a user.xml. I will click on this and I will save this. You can see first implies Abhishek, second is Amit, third is Anup, Anu, Ashish, Asutosh, Souvik. Everyone has been captured. If you think it was created earlier, I will delete it and I can run it again. You can see again user.xml is created. Click here and now you can see that again the file is there. So in that way you can create a XML file. Okay, so for reading, one simple function was there. Now, so this was for adding a child, but what if you want to add a attribute? So attribute will be added to some element. If you remember here, like imply.xml, this imply ID has been added to an attribute imply. So to add an attribute, now I don't have in the database any attribute. So I will just for now I will use $I equal to 1. I will simply add 1, 2, 3, 4. So to add an attribute in the imply, I will use imply add attribute. So I'm adding an attribute. What will be the name of the attribute? Maybe user ID. And what will be the value? $I. So this $I is the value. And since I do not want the $I every time same, so I will simply increment the $ID, $I after each while loop. Now if I run this, one attribute with user ID will be added, whose value will start from 1. So XML write.php. Again, we'll go back to user, save it. Now you can see imply has an attribute, user ID 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so is it clear now how I can add an attribute, how I can add a element and so on? Any questions? So to create XML element, there are basically only 4 functions. One is for creating an object of simple XML element. Second one is add child. Third one is add attribute if you want to add an attribute. And finally, save XML for saving the XML. So nothing much to remember. Okay, if you do not have a question, then we'll take a break. And after the break, we will continue. I hope you understood this. Role of test. Array, yaar, this I was only showing you for understanding how the while loop is working. There is no role. I was just showing you how the while loop was working.